$5,000 a month. Everything you need and nothing more. Absolutely perfect. I had an underground operation for illegal lobster rolls. All in probably about $50,000 at this point.
Today we're on Dock A in Rockaway Island in Queens, in New York. Instead of living in the typical tiny apartment, we're gonna see what it's like to live off and away from the hustle and bustle on a houseboat. Come on in. Oh my gosh, look at the swan.
Yeah.
They're not by the cutest background.
No,
but...
no, they're not.
So Ben, this is one of his places. His other place is up there.
Yep.
And Mr. James Franco.
Well, it used to be a great name for a boat until he got into some trouble recently.
Why did you decide to get this boat?
You know, I had just been living in New York for such a long time and making trips out here for surfing. I suddenly realized I need to reverse my commute. I really need to live here because this is my entire life and lifestyle. This is like heaven for me. If you blur your eyes, you feel like you could be in Cape Cod, where I grew up, sort of true to my heart. And I'm like, but you're in New York. Here we go. Everything is definitely a little creaky.
The flavor of it.
This is the flavor. The lounge area. This is a boat that has been around for a long time, since the 60s. Obviously it doesn't operate anymore, but you would have had two motors. These have cables that would run to the back of the boat. A lot of houseboats, what they end up doing is taking the motors out. It's a weight thing. If you want to build a second room, which is what I have on this, you have to get rid of something. That's like really important with boats. And this won't go anywhere unless you tow it. And that's what a lot of people do with houseboats.
All the antique stuff is from his restaurant.
I had 3 restaurants at various times in my life that all had a nautical theme. So when I finally had a boat to decorate, not only was it a no-brainer, it was a necessity. This is an original from the Dr. Claw lobster roll days. This is how you got your lobster roll handed to you.
What is Dr. Claw?
Dr. Claw was just an underground lobster pound where you could get secret lobster rolls anytime of night.
Were you Dr. Claw?
That I can't answer.
A Brooklyn man is building his crustacean empire into a booming
It's rumored
business.
that I may know Dr. Claw. That's all I can say. The kitchen's like super straightforward. This fridge, I'm gonna regret saying this, but this has been with me for the whole life of the boat. So
Still kicking.
it just keeps going. I don't know. My friend makes these. He has to come repair this, but this is my first surfboard. He goes and he puts a whole speaker system into them. Turn this little switch and then it's, you can hear the speakers just, it's all USB.
No way. So there's good surfing around here.
Good, I mean, okay surfing. When there's a storm, it can be really good. The only problem is that when there's a storm, we haven't had enough days to practice, so everyone's out there flailing around trying to be surfers. At least I am. Here's the toilet. New couples do not love that there's no door here, but now you're an old couple. So this is a special toilet. It uses a foil bag, and you press this, and it cinches up. So this is the equivalent of a flush.
How does stuff not splash out?
Yeah, no, it would have weight in there. That's how that works. This room I used to use as a study. Obviously it's a little bit hard to get anything done on a boat. When I was living here, this was an absolute godsend. You'd come in with wood and you would have not only a warm toasty boat, but the ambiance was really cool. Did you ever see Throwdown with Bobby Flay? Where he would challenge you but you didn't know it, and then he'd pop up out of nowhere and he's like, we're gonna have a chowder battle. And then you're like, what? This is the first episode and I was wearing that shirt.
Looks like it has chowder on it.
This is a local New York artist, Saul Steinberg, who was like a very famous illustrator back in the day. My mom was sort of friends with the family, so that's why I have those. This is grip tape from skateboards.
This is the upstairs.
The only bedroom. I want places to be weird and edgy, but when it comes to sleeping, it's gotta be cozy too. You can feel it's rocking now. Do you feel it's moving?
I was getting a little dizzy earlier.
Yeah, wait till a boat comes in too fast. This thing will really start rocking. We did that one piece at a time. We found every single one of those. All in the marina, if you can believe it. Every single one of these. This all came out of this crazy Russian wallpaper place. I was like asking him, I want your really weird stuff. The guy's like, you come with me. And he like brought me literally into the basement and he's like, here's all the rolls and no one will ever touch. And then what's cool with the rental thing is like, you don't even know. I've never looked at this before in my life. We have a cabin in Vermont that is like TikTok famous. If you remove the bedpost, there's like years and years of messages, and that's the reason they come to the cabin. And we had no idea it was going on. I was completely clueless. So this is the deck. Be a little careful. This is a soft spot.
Touch me far away from there. It's a little windy today.
It is super windy.
It knocked down some of the chairs.
Yeah,
so
look
can
like
you see the city from here?
Yeah, just beyond there. JFK right there.
Oh.
I'm actually a plane freak. I love watching them. They're pretty neat, but they are loud. And right over our house, and I'm always thinking, man, if there's ever a problem, that's exactly where they're gonna put the plane. Special toilet that I hooked up.
You can only pee in here.
You can only pee in here, and guys and girls have to sit.
What would I expect for monthly costs of living on a boat like this?
You might be able to get away with $1,000 a month, but then you're looking at $25,000 in maintenance a year.
So what would that be? $20,000 on for maintenance, and then $1,000 a month, $32,000.
Yeah, some years you get incredibly lucky, and you're like, wow, this is the best way to live. And then the next year, your boat takes on water, what would normally be the landlord's problem, and now you have to go rent $1 million crane at $10,000 an hour.
You gotta do that.
Don't expect to save any money. That is the big misconception. Fees are less, like the slip fee for the rental and buying a boat. It all sounds very inexpensive compared to having a nice apartment in Brooklyn or Manhattan. But then you realize the maintenance is all on you, and the maintenance on the water with the salt and the wind and the whatever, it never stops. It's
There's
just
more
crazy.
recipes for disaster on a boat.
Way more.
What was the initial investment on this place?
I think all in on this one, probably about $50,000 at this point. You know, people look at boats and they get them for $2,000, and then they're like, woohoo! And then they realize it's all what comes after that. All boat projects start out cheap. They all end up expensive. You just have to enjoy it. If you don't absolutely love it, you gotta get out. Because there's no dollar amount that's gonna make it worth your time. As soon as you own a boat, it is your responsibility. So at no point could you walk away from the marina and be like, I'm done. Every storm that comes through, you're in a panic fighting the elements with ropes and buoys and stuff. Like, it's no joke.
I would not be. I would.
Most people don't last. You see?
I would go before the boat. How many years did you live on this one?
4 years on this. It was amazing. I was, living by myself at that point, and it was just everything you need and nothing more. It's just like absolutely perfect. For a couple, before my wife and I moved over to this boat, I think you would get sick of each other because it's like hard to fully disappear from one another.
Have your own space.
Yeah, when you need it. So that's how I bought the boat. Quite a few sayings, obviously, on the high seas. One of them is you never ever change the name of a boat. And the moment you do is the moment the boat sinks. And that's exactly what happened to me with that one.
Do not change the name of
It's
your boat.
exactly as they say. That was the Ziggy Stardust, and then I called it Dr. Claus Catch and Cook because I was going to run like a little cooking school out of it, and then the boat sank. Now it's right back to the Ziggy Stardust.
So Ziggy Stardust
Yeah.
cooking classes.
Yeah,
I
they'll
hope
just
you
have
do
to
that
be
because that
that.
sounds really cool. And then now you own a bunch of rental properties, boats, some cabins in Vermont.
Yeah, I got interested just in the rental thing just because for me, unlike a work of art that you have to sell, I always thought the rental thing, maybe it's the ego in me, but it keeps like, some people will write you a nasty review, but every time someone writes me a nice review, it like gives me butterflies. The difference on the house flipping and building for rentals, what I've found, house flipping, you do things in a way that's affordable so that you can make some money when you flip the house. You cut corners. In the case of a rental property like this, the way I'm starting to sort of rethink it is you go above and beyond what you might even spend for yourself, because that's going to come back in the way of great reviews. You don't want to put a $5,000 stupid hot tub, which is the lowest end hot tub you could possibly. You're like, I don't need that. But as soon as you put it in, your rentals go, woo.
You're creating an experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you definitely did here. This place is so cool. And you guys can come check it out. I will link it below. We are actually getting to stay on here tonight. I would like to know what you guys think. Would you live on a houseboat? Would you not? Thank you guys for coming along on this tour with me.